describe this movie. It's a 1990s movie, but it should have been a 1980s horror movie because it's such a, in its core, an 80s horror classic movie, but it was made in 1990. I think it was actually like released June 1st, 1990 by the same people who did Brain Damage and Basket Case 1 and 2. So we are in good company. It's in its core, it's a love story. It's a New Jersey film. This guy, if you know anything about his movies, they're all like New York gritty movies. You know what I mean? They've got that really gritty look to them. Which
back when New York was how New York should.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know if it should have been or it should be, but
New York trash is what
yeah,
it was.
Right.
It's got that taxi driver. It's got that like just that grit, that grind to it.
Everything's so dirty. You don't want to catch anything. Right. It's just like
exactly.
Basically the whole story. It's a story of lost love and what a guy is going to do to get that love back. And then it's about greed. It's ultimately about greed. But basically, what happens is that, you know, at the beginning of this, we're all made aware that this guy, he's a Jersey guy. He's like a lab tech or something of that nature. He's got a kind of
bioelectrician.
Something like that.
Hold on. His job is none of that.
He's a biotech engineer or something.
He works at like a factory or something.
Something like that.
No, he was an electrician. I feel like because he had the the suit,
he had like a garbage man outfit on.
Yeah, but it felt like a regular electrician. But she also, there's a line of dialogue where she calls him like a bioelectrician.
Yeah, when she's casually, she's casually revealing to her friend that her fiance did surgery on her.
Yeah.
Because she's heavy and she's trying to lose weight and they've tried everything and she can't lose the weight. That's the whole thing with the story, which is how we get into the greed part of it, which is just ultimately such a moral story. You know what I mean?
And
I love
shallow.
it.
Shallow is tough.
It's a story about like, if you're shallow, life is going to bite you in the ass. But basically, they're at a barbecue or a birthday party, and he is introducing this like gift to her father, which is a remote control lawnmower.
Yep.
And as accidents happen, this thing mows her the F down.
Which I have a problem with.
Everybody does.
Because,
already?
You know, okay, let's
the first 10 minutes.
Let's get it out of the way. I love this. I love it. This is a
what's not to love?
For my personal taste, this is a 10 out of 10 pizza schlock.
It's great, right?
Gold mine. There's so many things.
It's so campy.
The further it kept going, the more things.
You know it's bad.
But you know, they set off right off the bat, the entire world is crazy because this man immediately in the first scene is got a brain with an eyeball in it and he's operating on it, and everybody in the world is just like, that's what he does.
That's what he does, right? We don't question it. We don't question the fact he's got this big ass lab that's bigger than the house he lives in. You know, we don't even question that.
His hobbies. His mom doesn't care. She loves him.
No, nobody gives a shit. But when the mower kills this woman,
right?
Sure. I'll buy it. I'll buy it that this mower killed her. But I think the real movie should be him trying to find replacement feet and ankles, because that's all it would do. Unless all these people sat there and watched while this thing slowly chunked her up piece by piece. I don't know. That's part of the charm of Henenlotter movies, though, is all that crazy.
To me, that's what makes it so charming. Is it's so unbelievable that this mower would like mow this chick down, but I just love it because it's so campy. So it just mows her the F down. And I guess from what you see with the movie, he harvests what parts he can, which I guess is the head. Right,
and like a foot and
he's like sitting there having a dinner with her,
which I can go for. I'm fine with that. I'm on board.
I'm on board. Right,
I'm on board.
He's having conversations with it. He's having candlelit dinners. He's talking about how he's going to
get that foot off.
Change your palate.
Get the foot off the table. Get the foot off the table. Gross. Like what? He had like a finger and a little. All kinds of.
It's just so gross. So basically, he gets greedy and he starts to think to himself, I'm going to harvest parts from hookers to basically get the perfect ideal woman. Because let's remember, she was heavy, and that's like the ultimate sin for any woman, right? That and getting old. So of course we can't have that. So he's like, I'm going to fix her. This is where the greed part comes in. So my poor homegirl, she has been mowed down by this mower. and he's trying like basically we got super crack. Don't let me forget that, because that's
that should be the tagline.
Right,
I love
that
super
should be
crack.
the tagline. The tagline for
I want to do super crack.
should be
Yeah.
the
I heard
tagline
that
should
that's
be
like rock candy too that they used in the movie.
probably.
Yeah, it's like rock candy. I love it. Oh my god! And let's hear it for the guy.
A big jar.
Like, oh my god, it's like this big, right? It's like this big.
Yeah,
But this
and the
super
bag
crack.
that the hookers go nuts with. Like,
oh yeah,
what are they doing? Are they having fun or screaming at it?
Dave had
So he,
messaged
like-
me. Dave had messaged me earlier and said that there was a very prominent point to be made about the sex work industry. And then I was like, yeah, but when I thought about it, I was like, yeah,
Treatment of women, period.
that is true. But there's also a very big, even bigger statement being made that all prostitutes love crack, and not only love it, but are always traveling with a pipe and are ready to do it now, and they don't care if
anytime.
they don't care.
Anytime.
They don't
And
care.
They showed up with crack shit that I've never even seen in my life. Like it was just
Right.
like the bulb shit and like
That's
Oh
why I
my
always hated
God.
Pretty Woman. It just was such. It just like, it made it look like being a hooker was this fun weekend with her little impish sidekick. It just seemed like such an insult to the struggles of prostitutes.
Well, no, Frank, the only reason I bring that up, the new segment that they had there. First of all, they called his girlfriend a girthful fiance, which I thought was insane. And then they had they had this talk show segment where the woman was like, let's just legalize all sex work. And the guy was like, oh, you think it'll be all right then? And she's like, yeah, I think it will.
I love
was like,
that.
all right. I was like, okay, we have a progressive message here.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing about this movie is there's so many hidden gems like that if you're smart, you'll catch on that. Like it's a take of the Maury Povich show. You know, it's like a stupid take on that.
I think it was actually. Was
little
that was that Downey guy? What was
Morton Downey, right?
Morton Downey.
Yes, that's him.
No clue.
Right.
That's who they were trying to like rip on right there.
And I love it. And that's what I love about this movie is there's so many like hidden things about that you see with it. It's a social commentary. It's also a really big statement on like the treatment of women and what happens, the way that women are treated is just despicable throughout the whole movie. And then look what happens at the end. I'm not going to spoil it for people. But anyway, so yeah. Like I said, so this guy basically decides that harvesting parts from these prostitutes is going to be the best bet for him. So he, goes to the red light district as you do, and he starts picking out these broads. He befriends a pimp at this place. It's the bar. It's like I know it's Spanish for big balls. Somebody just recently told me that, and I was like,
but the door on the sign said 69.
Yes,
I do remember that. Yes,
I think that's so cool.
That was a very good touch.
I just found this out the other day. So the girls that played the prostitutes and in the movie were a mixture of Playboy models and porn stars. And the reason being because the Playboy girls would not get naked, but the porn stars would. And every scene that a female was cast in was cast because she was willing to get however naked she got throughout the film. And interesting to note, there's no curse words in this movie, and the most gore is pretty much the part with the lawnmower and like the blood flies up. You know what I mean? Which to me, for a horror movie, says a lot because it still comes off feeling gritty and gross. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But yeah, so he harvests parts from prostitutes to try to make the perfect girlfriend. And he gets these prostitutes together by throwing a party. This pimp says, sure, you can borrow these girls. They get him in a hotel room, but prostitutes love crack. So they break into the super crack and they all start effing blowing up all over the room. Like, that's the beauty of it. Like,
one after explosions. Oh my God.
Yep, and you see like things flying off. It's beautiful. And he literally, there's a scene where he grabs a bag and starts putting pieces and he's like, I got it. I'll fix you up. No problem. And basically he takes the best pieces. And like, also, I got to say, they got a really creepy scene where he's like measuring and examining these like prostitutes for like the perfect woman. So like,
because they thought that was his kink.
They think it's his king. Like he's looking like up their hoo-has and like, oh, that's nice. I'll take this one. Like, oh my God, it's so creepy. But
it's just like anyway, a big, like whatever the massive like the like head like. He's just like measuring someone's tit with it. And it's
Yeah,
like, that's not
I love
even how
that.
you do that.
What is that? What is that big metal circle that
don't know.
doctors in
That
movies
big
have?
light that they have that
Is it
when
a
it goes on
light?
your knowing, like,
I
you're
don't
gonna
know.
go out.
It's like to measure your head. Like,
I
see if
don't
you're
know.
racist. I don't know.
But I
It
mean,
was
this
crazy.
movie is so bad. It knows it's bad. You know it's bad. You can't help but to have a good time with it. And let me backstory it really quick. So, like, when I was growing up, I was like living right outside of Austin when I was a kid. And we all know, like, in the old days, like in the 90s, when they had those old rental places, not Blockbuster, because Blockbuster never had movies like this. But like, we're
Yeah.
talking the creepy mom and pop, rental place that had the porn in the back behind the curtain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
So when I was a kid, I used to go back there to go look at the horror movies because you get a little look at TNA, right? So Frankenhooker was always right near the curtain that went to the porn. So that's my memory with that. And get this, the old VHS box was a talk box. And when you hit the button, it would go, want a date?
Oh, that's awesome.
It's true. And if you can find that box, my friend, that is a collector's edition. So keep it and call me.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
I do remember now that you said. I remember Frankenhooker was in the
On a
gold
date?
section towards the back in my video
Always,
game.
always. And
It
you
was
know, when you're a
definitely
kid
near the-
and you
like-
creep back there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh
you're
yeah.
That's so true.
It was probably right back there by all those barbarian movies they used to
Of
make back
course,
in the day.
man. Yep, of course, of course. And when you're a kid, those are just those tantalizing
Oh yeah.
little treats of like looking at a little TNA, a little forbidden something that just gets you going when you're like 10, 11, 12, 15,
Yeah,
So
that-
Frankenhooker was like my awakening though. I was like, this movie is awesome. It
Yeah,
has everything.
I
And
mean-
ultimately it's a love story. And it's also a moral story of don't be greedy because it will bite you in the ass. So to me, it's perfect.
Yeah, I rewatched this and Dave did too. I found out a lot of information I didn't know about it. It was written by Frank Henenlotter and this guy named Robert Martin, who was actually the original editor of Fangoria.
Oh,
And
wow.
Wow.
And then
Big
sa-
Fangoria fan.
sad story about that guy because he big Fangoria did that magazine for years, all through the heyday of the slashers
Great
and all that.
magazine.
And then he took over Sci-Fi magazine, the Sci-Fi Channel magazine, whatever it was called. And now he like works in Vegas as a guy at a craps table,
Really?
so
That's
yeah,
weird.
What?
yeah.
Wow.
Yep,
What
he
a
helped.
fall from
He helped.
grace.
He helped write this around this time. He also helped Henenlotter write Basket Case 3, which is my personal favorite out of
Me
the
too.
trilogy. But yeah, I found that out. And you were right about the prostitutes. Some of them were actually
If there's one thing I'm
prostitutes,
right about,
read.
Aaron.
But I think that they all got SAG cards from this movie because of
Yeah,
that.
they did.
So,
Took me a lot longer to get my SAT card. If I could have been a hooker.
it seems so weird to me. Like
Jeez.
you can't be in SAG unless there's like weird loopholes you have to do to get into it, right?
It basically, yeah, you have to, because it's called Taft Hartley, it used to be called, where like it has to be like they can't find anyone else to play that role that's in the union,
Right.
or you have a special ability, which might have been you're a porn star or whatever.
Right.
But it used to be you could get in like that. Today it's
Yeah.
not as easy, but yeah, that's in the 80s and 90s you could get in.
That's how
Wow.
like that's how Mick Foley, professional wrestler Mick Foley,
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
he got
Santa Claus.
he got his SAG card by being in an ICP movie. What is it called? Hustlers or Big Money Hustlers. Yeah, he plays a character called Cactus Sack, and he said the only reason that he did it was to get his SAG card.
Yeah.
So
Oh my.
yeah, people do crazy shit to get those things.
It is.
Because it's
I want one,
it's
yeah.
insurance basically. I mean,
Yeah.
It took me 7 years to get mine, and
yeah. I mean, shit. Best of luck to all you guys. But the actor that plays Jeffrey, his name is James Lawrence. He had such a unique voice, like
He did.
the way he was, everything he was saying, and I'm like, this guy's got to be in animation, like because he sounded like the main character from American Pop. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. It's like a Ralph Bakshi movie about, but he sounded just like that main character. And I looked through his credentials and I'm like, this guy is not in anything that I mean, he's in one of the RoboCop movies, but I don't remember him. And his face looks
Exactly
familiar.
where I know him from. God, that's
And
that was,
I was like, I think
that's
he's
what
a
it was.
it's one of those things where sometimes there's an actor that looks like a combination of a bunch of different people or has attributes that kind of remind you. So I don't know what his voice reminds me of, but he kind of reminds me of like a Judge Reinhold type, James Spader type mix. Like if you could combine those two guys.
He gave me like a weird science vibe.
Yeah, maybe a little Anthony Michael Hall or something.
I haven't seen Weird Science in forever though.
But I loved him. I thought he was great, hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I said, it should have just been a quest for this guy looking for his fiance's feet, but
no, we go further than that.
Fun little fact, Dave was talking to me earlier about Louise Lasser, who plays Jeffrey's mom, and where he knew her from. She's in a show called Mary Hartman or something like that, from back in the 70s.
Yeah.
But the thing I think I remember her from was she was the first person to get banned from SNL back in the day because she had like a breakdown. Yeah, the episode is not even in their archives. I couldn't even find a clip of it.
Wow.
But you can find still photos. She like had a breakdown, sat down on the stage. She had just previously got arrested for cocaine possession.
Oh my God.
Sounds awesome.
She was like, was she married, Dave? Was she married to Woody Allen or a fiance or just a girlfriend?
No, she was married to Woody Allen.
Okay, so
I think she's right there. Yeah.
So they think
girlfriend and take the money and run. I think.
Right. I didn't know
take the money and run.
All the details, but
like a breakdown on stage though.
Yeah. She's like on the ground. She wouldn't.
And you said she hosted, right?
Yeah, she wouldn't work with any of the actors aside from Chevy Chase. Said that all the skits were demeaning.
Wow.
And all this stuff. But they took it right out of the archive. You can't even find that episode anymore.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was crazy when I read that. But I remember seeing those photos somewhere because she's so. Back in the day, she had I think she just red hair, pigtails. It was like a real look, for her time period. But they said that she hosted because Lorne Michaels wanted to get Woody Allen, and it was kind of like a thing, Didn't work though. It's the little
brought his daughter. Am I right? No, just kidding. Sorry. That was bad. I'm going to hell and driving the bus, so I'll pick everyone up accordingly.
It's all right.
I'll ride shotgun.
Like I said, about the little details that Henenlotter does with the little foot and the finger and the little weird shit that doesn't make sense that he puts in there. I think that what's the purple juice, right? Like it's just. It's everywhere. It's everything. He pastes it on. He welds the. Right. I mean, I just.
Do you know what I think is crazy is like when he gets crazy when he drills in his brain. That part.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
It's like he's just looking for some kind of like sensation to like numb the pain, or I guess I don't know. Like I don't know what that is. It's so weird because like I don't know what to think of that scene, but I always love it. It's so creepy.
It's the bullshit science that really makes this movie. It's a charm. Because if I know
he did it twice. He did it
like 3 or 4 times, man.
No,
he kept pulling that baby out and just doing it.
Dude, but that was the most jarring thing about it, like because like he Jeffrey Dahmered himself. Yeah, like, he was just like, hey, like I'm gonna pick this. This looks like a good spot on my brain. And like that was honestly the most terrifying thing I saw from this movie. I was like, holy shit, this guy is the real deal. Like. You know what I mean? Like you're so casual about it.
It's so early in the movie too. I think it's only like right after she's killed, and you're like, "Oh my God, it's effed up. This is about to get real." Like, we just went from 0 to 60. And it's like it's so weird because he's like doing it just like for some kind of sensation or something because he's so in his head and he's so in his brain. I love the way this guy plays it too. He just plays it so authentically, and so does the girl. By the way, oh my God, I can't remember her name, but her name is throughout this whole film. The walk, the facial things that she's able to do. Oh my God,
that weird like
so committed. The lip thing. And
her name is
oh my God, the sex scene.
Oh wow.
And she's like killing the guy by writing him.
Oh, that fat guy. Yeah.
I love it because like she's the most dedicated hooker we've ever seen. Like, oh my God, like this girl's like giving everything to her job.
Want a date? Got any money?
Want a date? Right. It's like the funniest thing. I think like his head comes off and she like lifts it up or something. But I mean, like it's just such a charming classic movie. Charming, maybe not the word, but
Oh, it's charming.
It has everything.
I think it is.
I think so too.
Her name is
it's very 80s too, don't you think? Even though it's a 90s
Oh yeah.
movie.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, there's so many 80s Easter eggs in it to me. You know what I mean?
Her name is Patty Mullen, by the way.
Yeah.
The bullshit science, getting back to that. I know two things will happen if I drill into my head. One of them is that blood will come out of the hole, which doesn't happen at all. And then the second thing is I will shortly perish, because that's deadly, right? No matter where you put it at, it's gonna kill you, I think. I don't know.
Not if you pour bleach into it and try to have sex with yourself.
Well, that's what we call a Dahmer.
I'm sorry.
Right?
What was that movie?
The
Loved Ones.
Got the idea. Like he was like, oh, I saw this movie Frankenhooker, and I thought to myself, why not? You know, wouldn't that be messed up? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, who knows how he got that idea? And this movie was done in 90, and he got busted in 92, 93. Think about it. Maybe I just cracked the case on where he got that from.
Oh my god.
It's interesting because now I wonder, the incredible Burt Wonderstone is this movie with Steve Carell, where he's musician.
Yes, the magic movie.
I'm wondering if now that scene, the guy who made it, that Jim Carrey scene at the end, maybe it was an homage to Frankenhooker, because he's like, I will now drill through my brain. He goes on and then he's like, da-da.
Oh my god, dude, that was so
that's like
Oh
his
my
final
God.
scene.
You know who
I'm
else
so
loves this
glad
movie?
someone
Bill
brought up
Murray.
that movie.
It's a great movie, though. It's very
And
Yeah.
Bill Murray
Fantastic.
loves it. Bill Murray said, I kid you not, you can look this up. He said, if you see any movie, see Frankenhooker. I'm not even joking.
wow.
Bill Murray loves this
Oh,
movie.
it
And
is-
if Bill
yeah,
Murray
what a national treasure.
Right? If Bill
Yeah.
Murray endorses it, I say go for it, you know?
Maybe
Bill
it
Murray
had more of
can
an
do
influence
no wrong
than we realize.
I love it whenever Jeffrey goes around the first time he goes looking for the hookers, because I think he looks just like the picture of a sex offender that would be in an encyclopedia next to the word sex offender. Like all of a sudden he's got glasses, and I guess
Oh,
when
it's so
you
creepy.
when you look for a prostitute, you put a suit on, like a suit, like
Obviously.
a really tweed looking.
Naturally. Yeah,
That's
dress
what I
yourself
do.
up, man.
Yeah,
That's
but-
what I do. Where you been, right?
I mean, the amount of ridiculous stuff, like we talked about super crack, and I said the tagline from this movie should be super crack. That's right. This movie has a drug called super crack. Like that would sell it, I think, right out. But yeah, you got to love all the exploding hookers and the campy effects. I don't know why he put, like, I know why they put on the Franken pumps on her feet, but why did Jeffrey put those big dumb shoes on her feet? Because those weren't on the hookers, right? Like we didn't see those big Frankenstein shoes.
No.
He had to get those like custom made or
Big
something.
platform.
We also got the shot of him taking off the foot, like
Yep.
the hosiery off the foot. So maybe, maybe he was just looking to customize a little more.
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
But like I think that this movie ends, like, no matter how you feel about it, up to the last 15-20 minutes. If you get to that last 15-20 minutes, you're going to see some of the craziest wild shit
Yes.
like ever, and it's totally blowing it out the ass, just like the end of
Wow.
any reanimator movie, like
Yep.
that same exact way. And like I said, I gave it a 10 out of 10, and I think it would be a great double feature with Terror Vision. I
Oh
think
my
they
God,
have,
yes.
like, similar tones. So
Yes.
yeah.
I agree.
I don't know.
Great idea.
How about
We should write
those
that.
Society? Is it
Very
worth-
much.
Oh, dude,
Very much.
Big fan.
Yeah, that's why I say, like, the
That is
ending of
probably, I almost threw up watching that.
the
Like,
ending of Society is done
that
by
is insane. It's ingenious. Like
the
I'd give it
effects
an
are
A+.
done by who are the Screaming Mad George does the effects on Society. He also does the effects on Bride of Reanimator, which
Wow.
I love that movie.
the end of that one is completely crazy. But
Wow.
yeah, it's
Wow.
similar. I love it when they just blow it out the ass at the end, and it's just the craziest stuff. Like, why are all of a sudden there's creatures that didn't exist before?
Right.
Like, it's just amazing. But
Some weird brother
yeah.
that never existed until that moment. Yeah.
right, yeah. Dave, did you have any final thoughts on this?
There's a couple ADR lines that Jeffrey gave during it where I was just like what's so special about this movie is that there's these dialogue lines that you're just like, what? And then you think you missed and you're like, what? He was like, I don't need drugs, I don't need booze, I need surgical assistance. Like during the beginning while he's like working on that brain. And then while he's driving into New York, he's like, "What a buffet! She's not going to work out." Now that's something very interesting.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, all that stuff when he's going over his plans. I'm like, come on, dude. Like,
yeah,
it is
and
funny, but come on, dude.
During the like crack scene, he was like, y'all are cats like with catnip. Like while they're just like bumming around, like just going after it.
He even said your bodies aren't meant to do that in a negative in a negative statement towards some lesbian kissing. So I don't know if that stands up to today's times.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the science, Frank, we were like the only thing that I saw was anything science related was he had a massive canister in the corner of the room that said U-238 like it was plutonium.
Yeah.
And I think that was just a reference like connected to that like big ass fridge.
Right.
And I just thought that was hilarious. And that the blood serum was only estrogen infused. So that's the only reason.
Is that what the purple shit is? Is that what the purple shit is?
Maybe. I don't know. I like to think that's just the reason. It's estrogen based. That's why. Yeah, that's why you got a fat pair of tits at the end of the movie.
Hey, spoiler alert.
Oh, sorry. What? It's 30 years old, 32 years old.
Well, Elliot hasn't seen it, right, Elliot?
Oh, sorry, man.
I feel horrible now that I haven't. I feel horrible in every way.
Well, Dave just ruined it for you. Dave just
ruined
it for you.
Right. I've been seeing this for a while. Trust me.
I really want you to see it so we can have some sort of historical significance to analogize it with a Mary Shelley story.
Oh, if you don't think that Frank Henenlotter will stand up to the test of time, look at Basket Case. The movie's goddamn terrible, and it's I love it. So
I didn't know there were 3 Basket Cases.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. The third one's called the Progeny, and he has children.
That's my favorite one. Yeah,
I've never seen any of them, and like I am very excited.
How can I like the problem with me is like how are you watching this stuff? Because it's hard to find stuff anywhere.
Tubi. I guarantee you, Tubi has all of them.
This one was on Pluto.
Was
it
on
Pluto TV? That's another corporate sponsor.
Okay.
That we have.
Tubi has like this huge, like I don't even really pick anything on anything else. I mean, I think next month we're doing 2 Shudder movies for the first time in a while, but normally it's all Tubi because their catalog is you gotta watch a couple commercials, but I mean, I'm from the time where you always had to watch commercials.
Yeah. And they're great sponsors.
Yeah, I would love it if they would actually sponsor us.
All right.
But, I'm gonna give them a call.
What's up?
Never know. Never know.
You never do know. Yeah.
If they ever get like
wait, go ahead, Frank.
I was just gonna say if they ever get a tier that you have to pay for on Tubi, we'll have a code, and you can get it.
Oh yeah,
but it's free all the time now. But maybe not always.
Yeah,
and then later on,
the free code for today is super crack.
See, we could do fun stuff like that.
Yeah, we got 15% off. The other thing I wanted to like the primary antagonist of this movie is like some sort of like jacked Freddie Mercury pimp named Zorro, which is just like just so typical for the time. Like he's just like
he's got those
just
weird
a ridiculous looking dude. Yeah,
with
even like
muscle shirt. Yeah,
there were so many like weird characters in that hotel. Like the dude behind the like mesh that was like creepily laughing. Like there were just so many like little touches of this that like just felt really fun. Like
it reminds me, like I told you before, that gritty New York feeling. You know what I mean? Because it's really got, and it's got like, when you watch the Basket Case movies, for example, I always love it because part of what really scares me about those movies, especially when I was younger, now they're kind of more of just nostalgic when I watch it, which is crazy to say. But, for me, when I watch it, what made it so scary is that gritty rawness of it, because it seems so real and raw and authentic and like
lived in. Everything felt
it can't happen, So I just love that about his movies, because even though they're campy and cheesy, there's still that creepy underlying raw factor of it that makes it just creepy enough, you know what I mean, and gritty enough to make it real.
Totally.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking today before before this. I was like, all that what we grew up in, more or less, like the 70s, 80s, 90s. It was gritty looking. Horror films were gritty.
yeah.
They looked like they were made by a maniac. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I remember seeing like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer when I was like 15 and like almost like feigning dead away. And I was like, can they show this type of stuff? Is this okay? Like, what are we watching?
Exactly. There
Are
was
the police coming? You know, like what is going on? I felt like I was doing something wrong, you know, like that's a good horror movie to me. That's a good experience to me when you're heartbreaking, you know? Yeah, that's what's fun.
The first time I ever saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I found a tape without a case.
Yeah.
And it just said like video treasures, you know,
Texas
Chainsaw Massacre.
The cheap like, horror movie version.
Yeah, I popped it in and I was like, this looks like a snuff film. I don't know what I'm watching here, but you know.
I like that there was no question to put it on. Like, let's just put it on.
Oh, well, you have to. I mean, a tape like that.
You know, we've all seen The Ring, but we would still put it on. You know, like I would
totally
watch a snuff film. No, I don't know.
I'd have The Ring on loop. Like, yeah.
I know, me too. I'd be like, have you seen the part with the ladder? It's really creepy. Here, watch this, y'all.
It's
a gem. It's a hidden gem of a film. It really is. And every time it's on, I will stop to watch it. And like literally years ago, I think I was watching like Showtime or like, you know, like when they used to show those old time movies on Showtime or like HBO late at night. And like I was a kid sneaking like movies like that because you see tits for the first time or something. And it was on and I was like, oh my God, it's just so bad. It's good. You know what I mean? And it's one of those movies that after you see it, you've grown up a little bit more each and every time. I went to school and I was like, I've seen Frankenhooker, y'all. I've done it all. You know what I mean? Like, come and I'll tell you more about it. You know, I lived that day. So to me, it's a classic. It's an absolute classic. It's a Casablanca of horror movies, if you will. Love lost and then found again. And then what happens when you get too greedy with it. So there you go.
That's what I'm always like, you know, people talk about these Twilight movies and all these kind of that's like love stories. And I'm like, what about Return of the Living Dead 3? What about Frankenhooker? The real love stories.
Real love.
Anyway,
those real empathetic, just heart to heart.
Even Evil Dead 2, like you said,
that's a love story. Thank you.
Like I was a Universal guy, even silent films from age 6. Like I was just weird like that. I gravitated towards.
Don't get me started on silent films. We will go down that route together, my friend.
But Evil Dead 2 in college, because I realized, you know, a lot of stuff in my house at the time, I got suddenly into hardcore horror. And Evil Dead 2 was the first real crazy hardcore horror movie I ever saw. And I still was laughing my ass off.
Me too.
But it was like, there's a love story in there between Ash and his girlfriend that's even more like heartbreaking than romantic movies.
The emotional when you're young and you see when you're young and you see Evil Dead 2 for the first time, you laugh, but it's more of a uncomfortable laugh because and there's some actual funny stuff. But I remember it burning into my brain anytime I was in the car with my parents and we were driving down a country road. Like I just kept thinking of the camera going through the woods.
Right.
That zoom, that like heavy zoom.
Oh God!
Right. Yeah. Which, by the way, what a beautiful scene! I love that scene. Every time it's on, I will watch that just for that beginning shot of like that thing barreling through the woods. It's so creepy and it builds and it's so the tension is there. I just love that movie. But yeah, ultimately, again, a movie that at its core is about lost love and what man will do to rekindle it or refind it. You know what I mean? And then getting
and even play God.
Yes, and even play God. So yeah, see, we sat around. We sound classy now. I like that. We got classy for Elliot. Yeah.
Even the ending still, no spoilers, but I mean, what happens to the doctor's daughter? That's a heartbreaking move at that last 2 minutes. It's that like killed me when I was 18. I was like, this is this is a masterpiece. But that you think Ash is going to end up with her maybe. And then it's like, no, Raimi just digs it right in.
Such a bleak ending. Well, have you ever seen the original ending to Army of Darkness? Like
which is
man,
terrifying.
So bleak,
when I was a kid, that stuck with me forever. The original ending. Oh my God,
much better. But I know what it
is. So many people watching that movie. Yeah, that's a classic.
Many people don't even know that ending exists.
Yeah,
and it's like that's my preferred ending because like. But of course, true.
Hollywood, Hollywood. They the razzle dazzle.
Hollywood.
I choose my own endings.
Me too.
That was the ending. That took
So-
that was the VH age still for me,
Yeah.
like going to Chiller Horror in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
We'd have to sift and look for that because we'd only read about it in Fangoria or whatever. So we had to go through all these different versions, the Japanese cuts of Army of Darkness, which also had different versions on it.
Mhm.
Then
I've
we had
heard
to,
that before.
it
Yeah.
took a while to get that VHS that
Oh,
had
yeah.
that original ending on it. Like it was
And that shit was not cheap back in the day
no,
either.
no,
And
exactly.
I had a friend
Yeah.
who had 4 or 5 different copies of just of Army of Darkness.
Yeah, exactly.
And then of course you always had to have the unrated copy of Dead Alive.
Oh
And,
my God.
and,
Dead
you know,
Alive.
there's just so many
Peter
different.
Jackson's best movie. I think you guys are talking about it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree.
Weren't you talking on anything?
I talk about it quite often.
That's his best movie. I think that's his best movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but anyways, we should wrap
I like
this
the
up,
one with the
guys.
hobbits.
We could talk all night. But we,
The Hobbits are really
you
good.
like the actual
Hey,
Hobbit?
Dead Alive is a masterpiece.
Dead Alive's
Yeah,
a
not-
masterpiece.
Dead
Parties
Alive-
Not the
over.
recent ones with the hobbits.
What's the one? I kick ass for the Lord or whatever. That's like my
Oh,
favorite
yeah.
scene in any
Dead
horror
Alive-
movie. The
Dead
priest
Alive-
that comes out. Yeah, the priest. What is it? I
The
kick ass and
priest,
take
that's
prayer for the
right.
Lord or whatever he says. I love
Yeah,
that scene.
I mean, I think we can all agree that the 4 best movies from that director are Dead Alive,
Dead Alive.
Bad Taste,
Bad taste.
Meet the Feebles,
Meet the Feebles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Meet the
that's so ahead
And-
of its time. So ahead of
and
its time.
The Frighteners.
And the
Frighteners,
Frighteners.
yeah.
I love the Frighteners. I'm like the only
Yeah.
person in the world that loves the Frighteners
Yeah.
No,
besides you guys.
Frighteners
I
is
love the
so
Frighteners.
underrated
Love it.
too.
Mhm.
Frighteners
not
was
even-
too ahead of its time. It was just
It
too ahead of
was,
it.
right?
Oh, yeah.
It was. I know. I still love that movie. That's one of my favorite ones to watch, honestly.
Yeah,
That
it's such a
again,
fun
another love
movie.
story. Yep.
And you know, I'm
The
not
ones
gonna
with the
shit.
rings are kind of cool.
They're all right, but Dave, for me, that's a one-time watch. I watched them one time. It's like reading the Bible. You only do it like once, right?
I can't say the same, brother.
No, I know there's plenty of fandom.
No, I
for
love
that
the Lord of the
stuff.
Rings movies, except the Hobbit.
No, I'm just giving a
the
shit,
first
like-
3. Those are masterpieces. But
Yeah.
for me,
Without
the
his horror, without all of that, he would have not gotten that job.
absolutely,
Would
you're
not-
right.
would
You're
have-
right.
Yeah, not.
Well,
would
I
have
would
become
like to.
who he
I would
became.
really like to
Yeah.
see his studio Wingnut start making.
Mm.
Is that what his studio's still called?
Yeah,
Wingnut?
yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
like
I
to see
think
them
he's done.
start making horror and stop making Beatles
yeah.
movies. And I know it's his life and he wants to have fun, but give me one fucking more, man. Just one
Yeah,
more
just
gushy,
one.
like
Because you know it'd be
gooshy.
a masterpiece. Yeah,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course.
To
Yeah.
be
Especially-
honest, I don't think he has it in him.
He
Like, I
does.
really
He has
don't.
more of it, Dave, because he
Right.
has more
Yeah.
skills, abilities, and connections.
Yeah.
So he could
Yeah,
do.
well, he's
a
got the
fucking-
budget now, and he can just
He could
screw
do a
around.
fucking masterpiece. He
But
could
I
take
mean,
a,
Yeah, so
Yeah, if you could
They-
see
they-
Raimi, if Raimi can go do Doctor Strange, which is definitely, it's a Marvel, whatever, but that is an incredible movie where he's throwing in every trope
It's a
from
good
Army of
movie,
Darkness
yeah.
and Evil Dead.
Yeah,
He's
it
finally
is.
being able to use it, and he's actually being able to do all these things with the biggest budget possible. If he can do that, I think the Doctor Strange is basically Army of Darkness, but with a Marvel superhero. Like, there's so
Yeah.
many parts to the whole plot which are Army of
I
Darkness.
can dig that. Yeah,
And if
yeah.
he can do that, like, I think Peter Jackson can go back to doing a
oh
complete
yeah.
sick horror movie, and he should, because you're right. Like, he's now has a way to do a better Dead Alive than he could ever imagine.
It's he. I don't think
he can
he's.
make one
I
in
don't.
2 weeks.
I don't think he's lost his passion for film. And if you think about what he had to do to make some of those earlier movies, like in Bad Taste, he had to make those masks in his mom's oven. You know,
Yeah.
like
Oh my
he
God.
put in a lot of hard work. And I think that if he ever decided to make another horror movie, that it would make all the A24 movies look like shit.
Oh,
It would
absolutely.
it would make all these pristine new like
Yeah.
big Hollywood horror movies look like shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's just
Yeah.
my opinion.
I mean,
but-
we see what
but-
James Cameron's doing with all his money, so we'll
Yeah.
see.
I don't know the last thing I've seen from him that I cared about.
Me
Terminator
neither.
2, maybe. Terminator
Avatar 2, Avatar 3,
Yeah, I don't
I-
even
Avatar
care.
4.
2. I don't
I'm-
want
I'm
nothing to
kidding.
do with those blue weirdos, Dave. Anyways, we
I
got to
don't
wrap
even
this up,
care.
guys. It is
Or
getting
wait,
late.
wait. I wanted to have one more conversation to bring it back around to Frankenstein. All right.
Okay,
So,
okay. Wrap it up.
Elliot, I wanted to see what you thought about conventional monster movies and studio monster movies made today, where the monster is now become the protagonist in whatever film it may be. So, like, I was thinking about this with the first Jurassic Park movie, because I think it's inherently a Frankenstein movie. because you have a man playing God, you have someone creating a monster, and that monster being the primary antagonist of the movie. And then I was thinking also, because I saw the newer Jurassic Park movies where they've turned the dinosaurs into protagonists that are empathetic. And I'm wondering because it's inherently a Frankenstein story, because Frankenstein is an empathetic character, but Victor is primarily the monster, right? Yeah. I don't know. I
lost me, Dave. You got me in the weeds here. What?
No, I
just wanted your take on it. That's all.
Think we're just so. I think it's like you just mentioned, Frank. It's like the A24 effect on horror. It's like it's just going either one way or the other. Where we have to make something so dumbed down and watered down from its horror roots, like the original Jurassic Park was, like you said, Frankensteinian with dinosaurs, but there was a real horror to that movie. And it scared the crap out of me at 16 years old, and it was only PG-13. But these new Jurassic are laughable. They're pathetic.
Yeah, but even more specifically, like the T-Rex being the primary antagonist in the first movie, and now being this like sympathetic character that has become sort of someone you want to root for. You know, I mean, I've seen it with even like, I know Godzilla, even though we're like taking away the atomic bomb analogy, but like, I feel like Godzilla has become almost more of an empathetic character as opposed to this like entire monster, or even like Leatherface in the new one. You know, we're like, hey, he's just an old guy that's just, I don't know.
No, I think that deconstructing, and we've gone so far away from these archetypes in horror that we had in place until the 21st century. I think, it's now new forms that I think if we stuck to certain ideas, and even like the roots of the real Jurassic Park, the book, whatever, it's like there's a horror part to that. And now it's more of like a thrill ride. And like, every character lately has to have some kind of weird empathy or sympathy to it, so they don't insult anybody or, what have you. And then it's like, I don't know. And it's like, not to go on, I know we have to wrap, but like, just like, I like some of the A24 stuff. And I think Ari Aster's really talented. But the one thing that pissed me off about, again, going back to Mary Shelley, writing these lines at 2 a.m., maybe she's drunk, maybe she's stoned, whatever, but she's writing down these lines at 2 a.m. to come up with this original idea. And now we have Ari Aster doing Midsummer. And when they ask him, well, what happened? I don't get this part or whatever. His response is, well, it's a horror movie, so that stuff's just supposed to happen. I think that's pathetic. I hate that. I think that's very lazy writing.
Well, it's sort of a lack of logic.
Anytime that they're like, what's happening? Oh, it's evil. Like what? No, explain your shit.
Explain sort of more of this ominous, sort of like esoteric, as opposed to like direct. This is the threat.
It's called writing, honestly. I mean, when it comes down to
it,
you're either writing a story or you're making a music video. So which one are you doing? Make your decision. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
But anyways,
again, Mary Shelley. Just
sorry. That was that was just that was the question I wanted to pose.
No. I
sorry.
It all goes back to Frankenhooker.
200
years of horror.
I never thought about Jurassic Park that way until he described it that way. And you're right. Not to keep dragging on, but it really is kind of a Frankenstein story, isn't it? I've never thought about it like that. Like you hit on something with that one, Dave, because like I never thought about it like that. And I just recently saw the like newest one. They actually filmed it at the old Six Flags here in New Orleans, so that was really cool. We saw a lot of that going on. Yeah, the theme parks were all done, like all of the things were here. It was amazing.
The one that's destroyed New Orleans?
Yeah, it was incredible.
I love it.
Six Flags. Yeah, but I mean, I've never thought about it like a Frankenstein story until you put it that way. That's amazing.
I just feel like it is, because the first
movie,
watch
it again, I want to think about that and be more conscious of it. But you're right. Yeah.
What's so strange about the first Jurassic Park is there isn't much of an antagonist other than the dinosaurs, except for like Dennis Nedry. But you see
the dinosaurs.
Well, you look at John Hammond, like the guy that orchestrated this entire thing, is more of a Victor Frankenstein. He is he's a tragic character.
I never thought about it like that. Yeah, that's a very clever way to think of it. I never thought about it like that. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate
No,
it.
you're right. And it's like, yeah, the first Jurassic Park has the heart. I mean, Samuel Jackson gets killed, his arms found. I mean, Newman's character tries to smuggle the stuff out. He gets attacked by I mean, there's so many horror tropes in that original,
Right,
in the book by Crichton. And you're right, now today we've got this, and then the first new Jurassic Park, who of the main characters died? The rich inventor dies in a helicopter accident. So they can't really say he gets killed. Like, it doesn't even compare, and it's just now a Disney theme ride.
No, because they're also making the dinosaurs more empathetic. You know, you have that blue velociraptor where I'm like, I should be fucking terrified of you. You ate all of my friends. And now it's just become this, like, I'm your buddy. Like,
yeah. I haven't watched any of them.
Yeah, I haven't watched them either. So
they're
this
dumb.
is
Don't. Please don't. Please don't.
And then that, what's her, Dallas Howard? She's
maintain your nostalgia. Don't watch them; they're dumb.
Like, can we see her get eaten?
Well,
like, I don't want to see her as an actress. She should get eaten.
I am so surprised.
They're monster movies.
I am very surprised that franchise continued after part 3. Yeah. Because that movie I thought was garbage. And then I was like,
dude, it is an Academy Award winner compared to the rest of fucking bullshit that I paid money for.
Yeah,
stupid.
It is all right, cool. Anyways, we could do this all night, but we're gonna wrap it up.
This is great, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, dude. I'm gonna get into a Wikipedia black hole tonight. Yeah, and hopefully I'm not getting any information that isn't accurate, but at least I have a source to check into it.
That's fine. Yeah,
we've all learned a lot of things tonight. We've all learned a lot of things.
So did I.
But we'll do this next month, and we'll see what you guys come up with, and this will be a new thing for our channel. So
awesome.
I appreciate you guys' time, and have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Lisa, too.
Thank you so much.
Hi, nice to see you guys.
Again.
See you later.
All right.